All right, welcome back to the Leaf the Lights On podcast, episode 5 with your host, Nicholas Principe.
And Luca Terzini.
Today, it's the start of the season. The season's finally begun. This is our first time actually covering the season. No more preseason, no more talking about preseason. It ain't just preseason anymore.
It's good, it's better.
So, we might as well start with game 1. We're going to do a breakdown of all 3 games before we get into whatever else we got to talk about. So, first, game 1. Unfortunately, I had an event. I didn't get to watch game 1, but I did watch the highlights and I did watch playback on some of it. It looked like a very solid game. 47 shots in the end. You watched it. You can say more on this, but Montalvo played great from what I saw. We just couldn't hit the back of the net. It sucks that it was our first game of the season. You know, we had all these talks about, you know, the big players coming out, Matthews' captaincy and all that stuff. It sucks that we didn't hit the back of the net, but, you know what? It was game 1.
You know, I think if you're going to lose a game, I'm fine with losing like that. Obviously, you don't want to lose games, but if you're going to lose how we did, where you kind of leave that game saying, you know what? I think we played well. Like 47 shots, and by the way, 47 shots, but we also hit the post 3 times.
Yeah.
Matthews hit the crossbar of the post. Nylander hit the post. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, I think it was, hit the post. Those don't count as shots, but that's basically over 50 shots on Montembeault, right? So domination, I think, in the third period. Second was better. First, I think the Habs took it a little bit. I think it was the first period where they scored their power play goal, and there's nothing you can do about that. Just
we always start
tic-tac
slow.
Setup play. Yeah.
Even with Keefe, we always started slow.
It's not a surprise. It's just, again, like Matthews, if he doesn't hit the post there, could be in. Nylander could have scored. 2 of the big 4 score right there. We're not talking about, you know, them kind of being goalless in the first game, right? But I was happy with what I saw. Like, I don't want to see us lose against the Habs, because the Habs obviously are going to be kind of a mediocre team, even though they've been playing well. I know they got smoked by Pittsburgh yesterday night, but they're going to be a mediocre team. Not bad, but also not, you know, competitive with us, right, in the top 3 in our division.
We're assuming, by the way.
Yeah, we're assuming. Obviously, you know, they could play well. Like that Lane Hudson kid, he's playing good. He played good against us too. But no, if you're going to lose, that's the way I want to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we talked about. It's not a 6-7 game, right? We're not getting just goal, goal, no defense. Like, we played a solid game from what I saw, which then led us into then game 2, right? Which obviously I watched, right? Played a lot. We played hockey that I want to see us play, right? And this was, obviously, like I said, I didn't watch game 1, so this was the first time I got to see them actually playing properly. And like I said, it was hockey that I wanted to see. It was physical. Everybody was finishing a check. You had Nick Robertson finishing checks. This guy's 5'9". Like, he was finishing checks. It led to goals. Like, that fourth line was amazing. It was, Lorentz McMahon.
Kampf and McMahon.
Yeah, Lorentz, Kampf, and McMahon. That line was crazy, that fourth line. Like,
they played
the
really
depth
good.
was visible. And that's what we've been talking about throughout the last 5 podcasts, right? Like, it's always been the depth of Toronto that causes us issues, because first game, you know, top 6 didn't score. Second game, top 6 didn't score, right? Like, you need that depth, and, you know, it looks like it's coming back. And then, you know, so give me your thoughts on this game.
No, I was just going to say, like what you said, like in games where your top 6 is not putting up what you would expect them to, it's good to finally see our depth, you know, playing well. Like, I think Lorentz has been really good. Like, if I had to pinpoint one dude, Lorentz has been better than I expected.
Oh, yeah. Visibly
like, again,
key signing.
Yeah, it's only 3 games in, but he is playing like he has the passion, which is good. You want guys like that, right?
100%. That's why we brought him here.
But you know what? You don't want to see the big guys go pointless in the first 2 games of the season. But like you said, it's also good to see the depth finally being able to show up, because that is an important part in the team, right?
Yeah.
But like, even for the first 2 games, I think defensively we've been solid, right?
Absolutely.
Tanev and EOL, and again, talked about this before the podcast. I don't know if I ever went in depth on this, but I'm just going to say this. I looked at EOL as like a Klingberg signing, where, you know what, if we got Vancouver EOL, that would be bad. If we got Arizona or Florida EOL, that would be good. But I was leaning more to Vancouver because he's older and all that stuff. But I'm just saying he's played really well. But Tanev has been amazing too. The whole defense has played well, right? So it's good that defensive hockey, we're playing that really good. And now we see depth scoring and goaltending.
Yeah, that too. It looks like we won it. And in this game, Hildeby started his first career game.
Yeah.
And I honestly said before the game, I was like, oh, he's going to get a shutout. Obviously, that ended like somewhat early in the first. I was like, all right, well, there goes that. Because we got scored on first. Yeah. I was like, all right, there goes that. But after that, he shut down. Yeah, okay, he allowed another goal. Solid. He was class in that game. He made so many big saves, and he kept us in. And this is why I said earlier, I want to see him play, man. I don't want to see Matt Murray touch that. We're not going to talk about Matt Murray, but don't want to see Matt Murray touch the ice because Hildeby's shown, at least, especially in that first game, he's shown that he could be our third string. He's shown that he could be our backup. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, it's one game to go off of, but he's giving you that solidity in net that you look at him and you're like, I'm not worried if it's a 2-on-1, right? And they leave the shooter open. You know what I mean? Like you
have confidence in the
confident
goalies.
Enough that he's gonna make that save 90% of the time, we'll say.
And not just him, like also Stellaris, I think. He's been amazing.
Yeah, right. I mean, we'll talk about him in game 3,
of course. But like even in game 1, like I know we lost, but he couldn't do anything better. Like, that goal was perfectly set up, cross-crease pass, Caulfield puts it in a spot where he can't save that. Like, you can't blame him on that.
100%.
Other than that, he stopped everything that came at him, right? So, perfect.
Yeah, literally.
This is the first time that I can finally say that 3 goalies in. Because we're talking like this, and our actual starter that was supposed to start the season hasn't even played a game yet.
Yeah.
Right? And we're saying, oh my God, like our goalies are good. This is the first time that I can finally say that right now, again, it's only 3 games in, but right now I can say I feel confident that our goalies can all make saves at a high level and give us saves when we need them the most. 3 goalies in. Because when Wall comes back, obviously, I don't know how bad the injury was because he's still not playing, but if he comes back, still have confidence in him. Stellaris had confidence when we got him. Again, he was probably my favorite signing we got. Mm-hmm. One of them, at least. And then Hildeby, too. Very impressed. Again, only 1 game was his first game, but against a really good New Jersey team. A team that was hungry because of Keefe, right? Yeah. Keefe was probably talking about we didn't beat these guys so bad, right? But yeah, I have confidence in all of our goalies, so it's good.
Yeah, I saw so many edits after the game that people made a Keefe, and he was like talking nonsense about the Leafs, and then they cut to like 4-2, and it's so funny.
It's good.
But yeah, no, it was good to bounce back after game 1, put some put some goals on the board. Yeah, put some goals on the board, and also game 2 of the season coming up against your coach of 5 years. Right, it was good to get that win in a very. I'm not going to say dominating, but we looked like the better team most of the game.
Oh, for sure, honest. Yeah.
So
the only thing is that when you were saying before Hildeby, that second goal, I just want to bring this up. It looked very familiar to last year because it was again scored with only like 6 seconds left in the period. Can we please stop that? Can you guys just shut down the game with less than 10 seconds left, please?
Yeah.
Do us a favor.
20 straight minutes.
I hate that. All last year, I hate that. The period's done. 2 seconds left. They score.
So many times that happened. You're just looking at them like, dude, the period's almost done. Like, just play it out, man.
Blow the whistle early. End it early, bro, because you already know they're gonna score on us.
Yeah. Or just give them the goal. But yeah.
Or just reward them a goal.
But yeah. You talked about Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and obviously we're gonna go into game 3 in a second. But I was talking with our friend outside, Rory, and he was saying like, EOL on this first power play is probably the way to go with it. And I'm honestly kind of agreeing with it. Like I was talking about when we signed him, like he quarterbacked last year's Florida team power play. And obviously if we got Florida Ekman-Larsson, which 3 games in, it's looking very solid, right? Yeah. You put him there and that's it just adds that extra shuffle that maybe might spark it because the power play hasn't been great. We haven't scored on it yet, right? Our penalty kill has been solid, but our power play has not been great. So you add that OEL, and it kind of adds a little bit more spice to it, a little bit more flair maybe. And Riley drops down to the second one, which will obviously then help players like Nick Robertson on that second power play, Matthew Nyes on that second power play, do more, have more maybe opportunity. Obviously, you could say EOL in that second power play, but Riley's been given this opportunity to quarterback that power play for years. Spice it. Get it going, change it up a little bit because it hasn't worked, right? I mean, it hasn't worked. They're 3 games in, but it hasn't worked. So spice it up a little bit. But yeah, you want to touch more on game 2?
No, I just want to touch on the Oliver Ekman-Larsson power play 1. I just wanted to say that I thought that we should have started the season maybe like that because I love Riley, longest tenured Leaf. I've always liked him, but I think a lot of people can agree that his shot is not the best. He does not have that great of a shot. Like, if you watch
it's regressed a lot, though. Yeah, when he was, 25, his shot was really good.
When you watch him, like... And I know sometimes he flips it on net just to get tips in front or something. But when you bring in a guy like EOL who actually shoots the puck, that is better than what Riley does. And I like Riley. He's quarterbacked the power play for a lot of years now, obviously. But again, like you said, spice it up. EOL is a power play quarterback. Guy can shoot. And now, again, with the power play, you have so many options. You got Nylander, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, all these guys, right? So I understand that Riley really doesn't shoot too much because he's always passing to these guys that have better shots than him. But a lot of people can understand and agree that if you have a shot at the point, if you have a threat at the point, that makes it even harder.
Yeah.
And now we potentially can. Because, again, we'll get into Game 3, but it looked like it.
Yeah, it's like talking about an actual quarterback in the NFL. If he can pass the ball, he's dangerous. Yeah. But you add that running game, right?
One more threat to his game makes you as a unit better,
more complete,
complete, right?
No, I fully agree with
you. And we need to score.
Yeah,
like we need one power play goal. Like it's disgusting.
We've been top of the league for the last 4 years, right?
Like, and again, people can't say, "Oh, it's only 3 games into the season, it's fine," because during the playoffs against Boston, we were like 4%.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And near the end of last year, our power play dwindled so much. Like, right? I remember, I think when in February, we were like 52%.
Like, they got us.
How nuts is that?
And you know what? It's crazy because you have the first unit you already do,
yeah.
which has had success in the past.
A lot of success.
And then you have a second unit who you can probably say is one of the best second unit power plays in the league.
Well,
with Domi, Nyes, Robertson, like all those guys.
Patrick, it's hard to say that, though, because, like, we're relying on for example, Robertson on that second line. We know what he can do. We know he can rip the puck, but, like, he hasn't been given enough to show it, but it's dangerous. I'm not but saying it's paper, one of the
like,
on paper, on
like,
paper, yeah.
Like, maybe not so far just because, I mean, both of them have sucked, let's be honest. Because if you don't put the puck in the net on the power play.
Yeah, who's better then?
Yeah, right, exactly. It doesn't matter. Like, you can cycle the puck all you want. If you don't shoot on net and you don't get goals, then you're not better than the other one, right?
Exactly.
But just like right now, you got guys like Nyes, Robertson, Domi, Riley on the second unit. Like, we should be scoring goals. We should at least have 2 power play goals right now. It's a disgrace a little bit. But anyways, they'll fix it.
They'll fix it. The goals will come, right? The power play is going to come with the more chances and the more chemistry, especially with EOL getting put there. But now we move into Game 3. Again, in my opinion, another complete game, right? I'm pretty sure we did allow a late goal again in, like, the second period.
Probably.
We probably did. I'm pretty sure
we did. The Raquel one, I think. No, Raquel one was in the third, I think. Raquel was in the third. The Raquel
Letang was in the first.
And then Letang was in the first. I don't think it was a late goal. But we'll talk about this. But what was Holmberg doing on that play?
The fact that Holmberg got moved up to that second line, I know Tavares was ill. But, wow, what a move. And not in a good way. Like... okay, we'll get into that in a second. But, so then season home opener.
The Dubas team.
Against Pittsburgh. Another former Toronto connection.
Yeah.
4-2. Another complete game. In my opinion, we played very, very well. Agree. And as much as the fourth line didn't provide as much scoring as they did the game prior, but they played the exact same way with the exact same ferocity and the exact same momentum that they had from the previous game. And yes, our big guys finally got on the board, right? Willie with 2. One of them was an empty netter. But Willie with 2. And Mitchie with a goal and an assist. And that was a nice goal.
And Nyes.
Nyes as well.
So that's
Nyes as well with the goal.
All the top line's doing the scoring. So, it's just nice to see.
Cappy Pappy, where are you, buddy? Get yourself on the board. But no, he's gonna start scoring soon. Let's be honest.
Once we'll talk more about that. But I'm gonna say this quick. You already know, a lot of people know, once he gets one, he's going to light the lamp. He just needs that first one, and then he's going to just start going off, right?
The reason why everybody's talking is because through 3 games last year, Matthews already had 6 or 7 goals. He had scored a hat-trick in the first 2 games. Yeah, but
people also got to remember that after those games, a little bit after that, he also went on like a 6-game scoreless drought, right?
Yeah,
it's going to happen, right? And he's still going to end up with 60 goals at least. So it really doesn't matter right now. Again,
60 is a big claim.
You want...
I do... No, don't get me wrong. I think so, too, right? I think he will get those up.
That's
but 60 is a big claim.
I was going to say 70, and I'm like, let me just track it back a little bit.
I'd say guarantee, barring any, whatever, injuries, but all that stuff, 50. Easy.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Because
More
if we
than
play
happy.
if we play hockey how we've been playing in more like defensively sounded hockey, I read something on Twitter and I totally agreed with them. I'm like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care if Matthews ends the season with 40, Nylander ends with like 25, 30, Marner around the same. Dude, if we're playing hockey like this, where we're still putting up numbers but also playing great defensively,
Yeah.
then I'm totally fine with that.
Oh,
Totally
absolutely.
fine with that. They got to be past regular season personal accolades and move on to playing more as a fully like
A
team
unit.
structure, a
Yeah.
unit. Right. I'm not saying they haven't been, but I'm saying like
Well, they haven't been because they haven't gotten anywhere in the playoffs. And you
Well,
need
yeah,
to be
yeah.
able to play as a team in the
Yeah.
playoffs, right? It's not, we're not just talking about a 69 goal scorer being able to do everything throughout the year. You know what I'm saying?
but it's
Like,
good that like what we said like our top six. Sorry, our top six has not really been able to score anything through the first two games of the season, but our depth does the work. And then you see a game where it's like they do all the work and our depth. Not saying they didn't do anything, but they kind of take it back a little bit.
they played their
Scorers
role
they
very,
play their
very
role.
well.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what we need. We need a
Puck
lot more role
possession,
players.
defensive hockey, Berube style, it's actually perfect. It's perfect. I know, again, it's only 3 games in, but again, like you said, this Pittsburgh game is definitely my favorite out of the 3.
Absolutely.
Out of the 3, it's definitely my favorite.
It looks more like what I can say about the way we're playing with Brewery is that the chances are being created, but in my opinion, there's being more chances created because of the physicality that you're playing with.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Lorentz goal against the Devils. There was a the shot in neck, up blocked, big scrum, and then he backhands it top corner. You know what I mean? Like those goals didn't really come much last year because we weren't scrambling. We weren't pressuring. We
That's a
weren't playing
playoff-type
heavy
goal.
hockey. Yeah.
What you
That
need.
is such a playoff type goal.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's what you need throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. That's what you need as a team to be the best in the league, right? You want to be the best. You got to play like you want to be the best. And if you're not playing like you want to be the best, then you're going to end up top of the league in the thing and then out in the first round like we always are. So
True.
let's
Very true.
play hockey. You mentioned Steven Lorentz, and I do want to talk about because he's been huge. Like you said, he's playing with passion, and he's been like he is the best signing so far through the first 3 games, very easily. Right now, your other favorite player, Nick Robertson. How do you think he's? Let's touch on him a little bit because his first 3 games, played all 3 of them. How do you think he's done so far?
With a player like him, if he's not scoring, then it kind of takes away some of his game. But I'm gonna be honest, taking away like points because I don't think
He's got none.
He's got none.
Yeah, he's got none in the season so far.
But just how he's played, being able to be you know what the thing is? I think this year he looks like he's playing bigger.
Yeah.
Than he is. Like I can't remember what game it was. I think it was a game against Pittsburgh where he drove to the net. He drew a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about it after the game. I'm like, yeah, this guy's playing like he's bigger. He understands. He's playing with also like a guy like Pacioretty, and guys like McMahon who are taller and can play bigger, right? So I think if Robertson keeps playing bigger, he's played well. He's played well, and I think like I said, if he can play bigger, he's gonna keep playing well. It's the only thing you would want to see maybe the point production go up a little bit. Obviously, kind of bump the slump of not having anything. But so far, I think he's played well. Like I didn't expect him to come into the season and do what he did in the preseason and score like 7 in 3 games. Like I think we can all say that. But overall, yeah, I think he's been fine. And then I don't want to go too much into this, but it takes into account that like. A guy like Järnkrok, and we'll actually talk about this also after, a guy like Järnkrok, who hasn't played a game yet, but is on a 2.1 cap hit, is very expendable now.
Yeah.
Because if the team keeps playing like this, like even Dewar,
yeah.
Who you take out? Who do you take out?
Well, I think Dewar is probably going to get kept more as that, replacement.
Like a press box guy.
A necessary replacement.
Yeah, right? Which is fine.
Yeah.
But...
Because I like when Dewar played last year.
No,
I like
him too. If he's a press box guy or he splits time with Reeves, because I'm sure Reeves obviously isn't going to play the whole 82.
Well, McMahon's been playing. Sorry, continue. But
this is another reason why I'm saying, like, because what I was talking to you about, what I was saying yesterday, is that if the Leafs can get just that one guy, and again, I said we'll get into this a little bit later because we're still talking about the games, but that one guy on that second line, either if it's a center or a left winger, that bumps more people down, I liked McMahon on the fourth line.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That game against New Jersey was nice.
He scored.
Yeah.
I know it was kind of like a little bit more of like
luck.
A lucky pool goal,
Luck-esque,
but like still, goal's a goal.
Absolutely.
No matter how it goes in.
Can't take it away.
Exactly. But it just moves the roster down, and it makes more people like Järnkrok expendable. That like you might package Liljegren and Järnkrok, get him away. That's what, almost $6 million.
Yeah.
Right. That can get you your second line center or left winger. So
before I give my thoughts on Nick Robertson throughout the first 3 games, I did see something saying that the Leafs are allowing Liljegren to talk to other teams, which means that a trade could definitely be not in the works, but in the works. And I know you're happy. I'm very happy. Seeing Liljegren gone, not the fact that we don't have to see him ever in a Toronto jersey again, mess up something on the blue line, but like you just said, it frees up that $3 million. Plus, if Järnkrok goes, there's an extra $5 million, right? You know what I mean? Like
exactly
that. Like I think you said this last week. That $5 million to any other team doesn't look like much, depending on their situation. But to us, that $5 million can do wonders.
Oh yeah.
Right. So let's hope something happens soon, because Timmins. The replacement for Liljegren's been Timmins, and he hasn't been playing bad. And then, we got these guys on the IR like Hakanpää and Myers and stuff like that.
There's another guy, right? I keep forgetting about him.
Liljegren, looking more and more, even when you look in the IR, he's getting even more and more and more expendable.
Pushed down
and expendable.
Exactly.
Like he's looking like he's the odd guy out, and I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. I don't think anybody's going to say a word about that. Obviously, if we make a dumb trade, then people will say something about it. But what classifies as a dumb trade now?
But that's the thing. Like, I think Liljegren. I don't see us winning the Liljegren trade.
Yeah. Okay.
Like true. But I see the Liljegren trade as, like, I always use this as an example. I know it's a little bit different, but when we got rid of Andreas Johnsson, I can't remember exactly what he was making, but that was a cap dump trade.
Pretty sure it was 3-3.
Yeah, something like that. But that, like, we traded for Joey Anderson. Joey Anderson wasn't gonna be a Leaf. That was more of just a cap dump trade. We needed the cap. We got rid of him. Yeah. This is kind of gonna be the same. But I expect us to at least get a little bit more because, again, he is 25.
Yeah.
He's a right-hand shot, which teams want. And he, again, is for most teams at a reasonable cap hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially if he can play.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you, like, I know we've seen him play many times, but to another team, why wouldn't you take the upside on a 25-year-old right-handed shot defenseman who's only on $3 million, right? For what, another year or 2 more years?
Yeah, another year after this, I think.
So I like people are using examples like Winnipeg would be one, maybe San Jose, but whatever happens, again, like I said, I don't see us when the trade comes out saying, "Oh my God, we totally fleeced this team."
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna be happy because the $3 million is gonna be off the books.
Yep.
That's all I care about.
No, I agree with you. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on Nick Robertson. There was a play in the New Jersey game, I think, where I think it was Lorentz goal actually, where he made a play along the boards where he finished the check, and him finishing the check meant that guy wasn't in position to block Lorentz, or it was McMahon, whoever it was. I don't remember which goal it was, but like you talked about, I like the way he's been playing. He's been playing bigger than he is, and I'm not gonna say Max Domi, but Ty Domi plays bigger than he is. Max Domi plays bigger than he is. Robertson's not gonna be that physical at 5'9", but if he can play with that, like I said last week, ferocity and energy, that brings a lot to this third line, right? Brings a lot to our second power play. If you can continue to do that, the points will come and the goals will come. Because, like you said, that play last week or last game where he got hooked getting in, to get in there was already a great play, right? To get to that puck was already a great play, right? Yeah. So if he can continue making those plays, the points will come and the goals will come. So, Robbie, big shout out for the first 3 games. You've been playing very well, even though you got no points on the board. But, yeah.
Very, very good.
Not going to touch on that no more. What do you want to touch on now?
We can talk about so far like what we kind of been talking about, the whole trade thing.
Yeah, let's go.
Because we didn't mention that actually Liljegren is actually playing on the third pair right now.
Yeah.
So
Timmins has been replaced for the game tomorrow against the Kings.
Which I want to say right now, Liljegren being in is nothing more than just a showcase. At this point, it's really just a showcase. All the rumors of him seeking a trade and requesting a trade, or him being on the trade, the block for us, this is basically getting a game against LA at home and showing him off to other teams because he hasn't played yet.
Yeah.
That's it.
No,
right?
damn right.
There's nothing else to that, but I want to talk more about just the whole cap situation as a whole in like Liljegren and even Jan Krok.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like forget about Jan Krok. Like I forgot about him, and like again, like he's not like I know you're not a huge fan of him, but he's an okay player. But I look at this lineup, and I say like he can't play anywhere.
Yeah.
You're not gonna take anybody out because first of all you can't, and second of all you wouldn't because everybody's playing. Like I can't right now, I can't look at a guy on the lineup and say you've played not that great. I can't. Everyone has played good.
They've all played.
Like even
their
Timmins
role.
has played well.
Yeah, Timmins has played.
Like
Obviously,
penalty. Like I know he's got a lot of penalties. Like even Benoit, but overall he has not made a stupid like dumb play where it leads to a goal. He hasn't done that.
Yeah.
Right?
You said something about penalties, and there was a penalty that happened in the New Jersey game with Timmins, where he got called for interference, and what happened was he skated in front of the guy as he was going behind the net, but Benoit was already here, and the guy just skated into him, and they called interference. I'm like, okay, it could be seen as interference, but realistically, most of those calls don't get called, and even the commentators were like, okay, if you're going to set the premise for the game, then set the premise for the game. And then not one penalty was called against Toronto when there should have been at least 4. Like, the same play happened with Marner at the blue line where he ran into the pick man. And
Yeah, I know. I remember what you're talking about.
they called the penalty, but because it was
It's
offside.
Yeah, they didn't call it. Yeah.
First
yeah.
of all, I don't get that because if I get slide tackled in the box in soccer and the ball goes out for a goal kick, it's not a goal kick, it's a penalty.
Penalty.
Like,
Yeah, that I was kind of a little bit confused about, but I don't know. Officiating is going to be officiating. After every game, there's always going to be something that they screw up, right? At this point, we're all used to it. That's why, like, unless the game is like really bad, like I'm going to use this as an example. I know it has nothing to do with the Leafs, but yesterday night,
yeah.
my Jets played the Bills in Monday Night Football, and there might have been like 55,000 flags in that fourth quarter of that game that made the game unwatchable. And yeah, the Jets lost because of themselves, because they're stupid. But no, dude, like I don't want to go too much into this, but like
it's a Leafs podcast.
Yeah, we lost. We kicked ourselves in the foot. It was terrible. But anyways, my point is officiating is always going to be officiating in any sport, and in hockey, unfortunately, it's really bad. So at this point, I don't really look at officiating to blame if we lose games anymore. Like, even if they make bad calls and stuff, I'm just like, you know what? At this point, we're used to it. They're going to do it. So you just got to move on.
I just think with, with Berube hockey, like, we're going to get called for a lot more than we were. And you and me, but Leafs fans were also complaining a lot last year about penalty calls. I think every organization complains, but we complain a lot about it. I think this year, with the physicality that we're going to play with, that we've seen in the first 3 games, if we continue with that, we're going to get called for a lot more, I don't want to say stupid penalties, but stupid minor penalties because of how we're playing.
Yeah, because we're going to be more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So the more aggressive you are, there's a higher chance of you getting called those dumb penalties, which shouldn't be the case, but it is, right? So, again, we just got to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, in these first 3 games, we have been penalized a lot.
The first 2 was 5 each, and then the second one was 4, I believe.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's 14 in 3 games.
Yeah, right?
And I think at least 2 or 3 of them weren't penalties.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Or
Some of them,
not
yes.
penalties.
Like the first penalty that Benoit got in the Pittsburgh game, where he made that diving play, where he kind of brought his stick around. Almost everybody thought that was an amazing play,
But the ref.
but there was a penalty.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think Benoit got called for another dumb one in that game.
Benoit
too.
has been called for a lot of penalties, but other than that, he's been good.
No, he's been really good.
But we can touch over the defense if you want, because again,
The defense has been the same through all 3. It hasn't switched, right? It was Riley, Tanev, OEL, McCabe, Timmins, and Benoit. First line, no, it wasn't you. My buddy texted me. He goes, I'm not liking Tanev after game 1. He goes, he looks slow.
You told me about this, but
all this stuff. And I'm like, but he's not he's not fast. Like, you know what I mean? He's not meant to be fast. He's meant to defend. He's meant to stop the plays. Like, I think the whole defense as a whole, if you want to go break it down line by line, we can. But for me, they all look great. They all look very similar in their stature. Yes. They all look like they've got the defensive side and the minor offensive touch that you need. And I think it's been going well. I don't think our goalies are worried. As much as we're not worried about our goalies anymore, so we hope. I don't think our goalies are worried about our defending anymore. I think the goalies have that confidence that they when Wall comes back, and obviously we've seen with Hildeby and Stolarz, I think when Wall comes back, he's going to look at this defense and be like, okay, you guys look a lot more solid than you did last year. Couple changes. It's like 2 changes, realistically.
2 big changes.
2 big changes.
How they've been playing, 2 big changes, yeah.
2 big changes, but 2 changes.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to come back in looking at this like, wow, I actually have defense in front of me.
Yeah.
Right? Stolarz is looking at this like, wow, I actually have defense in front of me. Hildeby the same. I actually have defense in front of me. They're actually going to make plays for me. Right? Like, I think the whole defense and goalie work as a unit in terms of if one is confident in the other, then the other is confident in one.
Of course.
So I love the way that it's been going right now. Obviously, we're saying this 3 games in, but I like the way it's been going. We're playing the hockey that I want to see.
It looks balanced on the defensive side, right? It looks balanced. It's like you got Riley, who we know who he is, but then you pair him with Tanev, and I'll keep saying until I'm blue in the face. It's probably the best. It is the best defensive partner he's had in his whole tenure with the Leafs.
100%.
For sure. And again, he might not be the fastest, but how he's been playing, if he plays like this for the rest of the year, it's perfect. McCabe, again, we already know who he is. He's played really well. And then you got OEL, who has looked really good.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to say this about OEL, too, is that he has more, what's it called? He has more aggressiveness in his game than I thought. Like, there's so many times after the whistle that he's getting into scrums and stuff. I never thought he was that type of player. Like, I never really sat down and watched Oliver Ekman-Larsson, I'm going to be honest, right?
Yeah.
I always knew he was a good defenseman, but I never knew that he had a little bit of that edge to him. Like, I can't remember what game it was. I think it was the New Jersey game. The whistle was blown, and he's still going after a guy. I'm like, I like to see this, right? Because you got McCabe that does it. Riley really doesn't do it, but he does do it when he needs to. Tanev, he's just a big dude, aggressive big dude. He just looks scary to look at, right?
He does.
He doesn't even have to punch you, and you just look at him and he feels like he punched you, right? And then Benoit has played well, just kind of.
He's a tower, man.
Bring the penalties down a little bit, and then hopefully when Hakanpää comes back, that's probably gonna be a spot. But right now, again, I don't like Timmins, but can't complain about him because he hasn't played well. And Liljegren hasn't played a game yet, but if he plays tomorrow...
it's going to be a big test for Liljegren, especially coming into this lineup after missing the first 3 games and seeing the difference in the team from last year. Yeah. And he very, very easily could stand out like a sore thumb more than he already did, which would be bad in terms of trade talks, but also, I want to say good in terms of, like, realizing that he's not it for us. You know what I mean? Like, if he stands out like a sore thumb tomorrow, it's evident that you're not with us, buddy. You're not on the same. You're not in the Toronto Maple Leaf. You know what I mean?
I think even if he does play half decent tomorrow, like I said, he's gonna be on the 3rd pairing. He's not gonna play a lot. I'm sure he's gonna get the least amount of minutes for the defensive core.
Sorry,
but no, you're good. He's probably gonna finish with the least amount of minutes played for the defensive core, but like I said, even if he does have a good game, like even if he scores, I don't see him staying on the team. Like, I think if he does play good, it's better for us because it makes more teams interested.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, he can still play. Like, even though he's missed time.
Yeah.
Right? Because for sure he might be rusty. It's his first action of the season, right? So just alone from that, he might not play that great. But even if he does play good, it's good because the trade bait will come, right? So it's.
Yeah. I also meant that in the sense that not one player has stood out.
Like everyone's been in unison, right? Like
it may sound like a bad thing, right? Like you want your 69 goal scorer to stand out. You want your almost 200 point guys to stand out. But
200 point guys.
100 point guys. Sorry. You want those guys to stand out, but the fact that they aren't could be seen as a bad thing. But it also, to me, seems like you're playing as a team. You know what I mean? Like
I'd rather that.
Nobody's outshining one. Nobody's getting dropped down to the side. Like Liljegren a lot last year, you could pick him out from, the worst of a bad bunch, right? You could pick him out very easily. This year, you can't pick out so far through the first 3 games, you can't pick out one guy. Like, you could pick out Steven Lorentz because, he's been playing with fire, newcomer, but because he's a newcomer, the eyes are almost on him already. But you can't really pick out one guy and say, you have been the top or you have been the worst. I can't do that for the first 3 games.
Me either. I think, like you said, everyone has been playing good, but no one has really stood out yet. And again, like we said, it's only 3 games in, so that's obviously going to happen. And eventually we'll see guys that you're like, oh, you might be out of the lineup soon because you're not playing that well. But that's going to happen. It's these guys are human. They're going to have their low streaks and they're going to have their hot streaks.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going to happen. But right now, I can't pull out anybody and says, oh my God, this guy's been like total ass. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't say that with anybody, which is good. I don't want to say, oh yeah, Oliver Ekman-Larsson's playing like garbage.
Doo-doo.
Yeah, like we need to take him out. We need to do what we did with Klingberg last year. Yeah. I didn't want to say that. Like, it's the same thing. I didn't want to say that with Klingberg last year, but unfortunately he was terrible, so I had to. But it's good. Like, I prefer this. I don't need Matthews to score a hat trick every night. I don't need that. Again, it makes the games more fun. It makes more to talk about because it's Matthews. But I don't need that. That's
Leaf fans, though. As hockey fans.
Yeah, as hockey fans, I want to play like this.
Yeah.
Like, there's some nights that, again, one was an empty netter, but whatever, a goal's a goal. Nylander finished with 2 goals. Marner finished with 2 points. That's good. That's good enough for me. I don't need these guys scoring 4 goals a night. Yeah. I don't need that.
7-point nights and a 7-6
I don't need
victory
that.
in OT. Yeah.
Because a 7-point night means that
everybody else did nothing.
Yeah, and that we're giving up a lot. Or we're just smoking a team, whatever.
Yeah, which happens, but not as often as we want it to.
Yeah, I rather it like that.
Yeah, so we touched on Liljegren dropping into the lineup for tomorrow's game. We might as well just talk about the lineups in general, because Tavares missed the season opener with an illness, and now that illness has presumably spread through the team, and now
Nylander didn't practice today.
Yeah, Tavares is looking like he's going to be back for tomorrow. But Nylander didn't practice with the team today. So I don't know if you have what the lines for practice were, but with Nylander out of the lineup, it adds that little bit of movement that needs to happen, which is why you need the guys like Connor Dewar and stuff like that, right? Even Järnkrok, but I don't want Järnkrok sitting out waiting to play with 2.1 mil, right?
Exactly. So I got the lines for practice this morning were Knies, Matthews, Marner. That stays the same.
Yeah.
Got Holmberg, Tavares, and Robertson. McMahon, Domi, Pacioretty, Lorenz, Kampfer-Reeves, and Dewar as your extra. And the defense stays the same except for Liljegren coming in for Timmins, which we already knew.
Yeah.
Nylander's out.
Yeah.
You just got to put someone in his spot.
You got to work around it. But I don't think they should have. I understand moving Robertson with Tavares. I don't understand why take Robertson off of a Pacioretty line.
I like keeping Domi as the third-line center. I like that.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, Holmberg does not belong in the top 6.
I think what looks better to me is if you switch Tavares and Holmberg with Domi and Pacioretty. That looks more like a line for me.
Or you can just make Pacioretty, Tavares, and Domi the second line. What about that?
Yeah, but then you don't have a center for the third. Holmberg, yeah. True, you do have Holmberg, yeah.
McMahon, Holmberg, and Robertson. I don't know. Like, you know what the thing is? It's something that we shouldn't really look into too much. Because,
it's one game.
Even if Nylander misses it, it's only going to be a game unless it's that bad, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's only going to be one game. If Holmberg, McMahon, a person like that needs to play for one game, it's fine. Like, okay, I know LA scored like 7 goals last game. Did you see what happened there? 8-7 final, auto overtime.
Oh, yeah. That was a crazy game.
I don't see that happening against us, especially how we've been playing. But for one game, again, it's just next man up mentality, I guess. Holmberg has played on the second line before. It's not like it's new to him.
Yeah.
So as long as he just doesn't, again, like we said, doesn't look out of place, then whatever.
My thing, though, with what I said is that as much as I said you can't pick out people from this bunch, like everyone's looked very, very solid, you obviously can say, oh, yeah, I think this guy's played a little bit better, this guy, this.
Yeah, like
right?
nitpicky,
so
but like, yeah.
I think that the line of Pacioretty, Robertson, and Domi, those players have played collectively better than Holmberg, McMahon, and Tavares, right? Obviously, as a line, we wouldn't know, but if you're already going to play Robertson down the right, you put Pacioretty down the left, and you put Domi down the middle. Like, Domi's got 2 assists right now, right?
3.
Sorry. Domi's leading the team in points with 3 assists.
Yeah.
those guys you can't say they haven't played better because they have produced more, right? So I would have probably done that line, right? Tavares coming back from illness, put him on the third line. If it gets bad, you put it back up to the second line. But I think those players as a collective have played a little bit better than those other players. So I would say I would have done it like that personally.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I know what you're saying. I think, I guess it's Berube just trying to like not just make one line, especially because again, like let's be honest, it's not like they're the best bunch of players, right? So I think he's just trying to work it out. And like again, the game could start. He doesn't like how the lines are set up. Switch them, right? Yeah. But I think he's just trying to balance more things instead of just putting Domi
the same lines over and over and over again.
I think he's just trying because again, it's early in the season. He's gonna try things, right? He's really had a hard spot for Holmberg. He's really liked how Holmberg played.
Don't get me wrong, again, I like how Holmberg's been playing well.
He's played well, except on that obviously that penalty kill moment, but that happens, right? Everyone's human.
Everyone's got a lapse of judgment.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, exactly. But again, I liked how Holmberg has played, and again, Holmberg could actually be another reason why Kampf could leave this team as well. Yeah. Because right now, like, even on the penalty kill, like, Holmberg gets penalty kill minutes over Kampf. And Holmberg is also making, like, $1.9 million less than him, or whatever it is.
Yeah, Holmberg's on, what, like $800K salary or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Kampf, again, whatever. He's a great fourth-line center, but now that his role has been...
reduced
more, I look at him as another piece that you can move out. Because looking at it right now, with Nylander healthy, let's just keep these lines, right? Nines, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Robertson, McMahon, Domi, Pacioretty, Lorentz, Holmberg, Reeves.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I see how that could work, and I know Holmberg's been playing well, and Kampf, obviously, like you said, his role's been reduced. But in my opinion, as a strict center, as a player, Holmberg is better than Kampf. But as a strict center, and I think Kampf is better. I think Kampf
as a center,
I think Kampf wins more faceoffs, and you need that faceoff guy. Like Tavares is a faceoff guy, right? Obviously, he does everything else very well, but Tavares is a faceoff guy. Like if you pick one thing out, you're picking out faceoffs. If you're picking out one thing from Kampf, you're picking out his defensive ability, right? But you're also picking out his faceoffs. Yeah, right? And that's why a main reason why he was on the penalty kill with Marner a lot of last year. Right, because he would be able to win that face-off. So, excuse me, I think it could be okay, right? And it is extra salary coming back. I don't know. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm just middleized.
The only thing is, I understand your point with the face-offs, but if that's the only thing he's really bringing to the table right now, you can't have him for 2.4 on the fourth line.
True.
Like,
no, it's fair.
I won't deny him being a good centerman and winning faceoffs and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if that is all you're bringing to the team, because again, he's not good offensively. Defensively, he's good. But now that his role has been reduced, that he's not even starting on the penalty kill, Holmberg is. Like even Matthews is playing more penalty kill minutes than him so far, right?
But that's Berube's choice because Berube wants. But
that's
these big guys to play both ends of the ice.
But the thing is, that also makes a guy like Kampf more expendable because if Matthews, who's obviously good defensively as well, can play with Marner, who we already know who he is on the penalty kill, right? Yeah. Then you don't need a guy that's making almost $3 million on your fourth line. Yeah. Right?
And if you get rid of all three of those guys, Kampf, Liljegren, and Jarnkrok,
that's a lot of
$7 million.
That's like that could bring you. Like I'm gonna use him as an example. I know this is never gonna happen, but a guy like Elias Lindholm, a second line center, defensively sounded, can also bring offense. I know that wasn't gonna happen last year, but I look at him as for a second line center to play with, say, Willie and Domi. I look at him as a perfect second line center. Yeah. Perfect second line center. I know that's not gonna happen, and I'm not sure exactly how much he got, but it was close to 7. Yeah. It was over 7, but it was around 7. I can't remember what it was.
7.2, 7.3.
I think it was something like that. But $7 million, and you can retain and stuff like that. But that can get you a really good player.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Right? And if our defense keeps playing like that, or goaltending keeps playing like that, and the rest of our offense keeps playing like that, I look at this team and I'm like, all you need is really a second line player. Yeah. Second line player. But anyways, the whole thing with Kampf if I see us eventually just keeping him, we probably will keep him because we're not going to be a fire sale with all these guys we don't need and get rid of all of these because, again, a trade works two ways. You're not playing NHL franchise mode. You can't just trade a guy to another team, right?
Trade John Tavares and 4 first-round picks for McDavid.
Exactly. It takes two teams to make a trade, and if no one has interest in Kampf, we're not going to trade him, right? But again, going back to what we started this conversation with, Nylander will be only out for one game, and it's not like he's not playing. Like Berube said up in the air. So again, he could end up playing and whatever. The lineup stays the same, right? So I don't know. It's keep it how it is. Try stuff, but it's only going to be one game. So
before we end the podcast, because I don't really know if we have much else to talk about unless you have something.
No.
I do want to touch on Alex Nylander because he was someone that we talked about at the beginning. Signed with the Marlies. He has started off the Marley season very, very well. I'm trying to find it. He has...
he scored 2 goals last game, and I think he has an assist. Yeah, he's got 3 points in 2 games.
2 goals and assists in 3 games, right? It's a good start, right? And I'm still confused on how we can bring him up.
You just got to give him an NHL contract, right? You just got to sign him to an NHL contract. But
if he continues playing like this, that's a very big possibility, right? And then it adds more to that. Those press box players, like you say, that going back to the trades means those guys are even more expendable. So if he can continue playing like this, he could get an NHL contract, which means that trades look even more viable for the Leafs. And if all we need is a second-line player with $7 million cap room, it's looking good. Like I would not. If you told me this 2 years ago, all you need is a second-line center, you got $7 million cap. I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? Like we could do something.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
we could do something.
Really good. Yeah.
So, what about you with Nylander?
Again, like I didn't sit down and watch any of the Marlies games. I saw his goals. I could say he's got a really good shot. Obviously, we knew that coming into him signing a contract with the Marlies. He always had a great shot. Obviously, he never lived up to his expectations of where he was drafted and all that stuff. Obviously, but again, like you said, you can give this guy minimum NHL contract if we do need him to come up to just sit in the press box, and that's another guy that you can use as depth, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure William Nylander would love that as well.
Oh,
bringing
100%.
his brother to the team, right? But anyways, yeah, it's just another guy that if he keeps playing good with the Marlies, again, I see us only giving him a contract if we desperately need to.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like the Ho-Sang thing. A lot of people wanted Josh Ho-Sang to get an NHL contract. He ended up never, getting one because we didn't need to give him one, right? Because it's like if you don't need to waste cap space on a guy. Now I know, Nylander is not gonna make a lot. Alex Nylander isn't gonna make a lot, but if you can use that cap space to upgrade another position, then you wouldn't need to bring him up, right? Because again, we got Dewar and some other guys, right? Even some of the younger guys, right?
Yeah.
Like Grbaik and people like that. But I don't know. Yeah, it's only 2 games. Again, he's 3 points. He is also a -2. So, but he's not that great defensively.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to look at it.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. Just keep staying hot, I guess, and maybe we might see him up. So that's all I got to say.
All right. If you got anything else to say, I think that's the end of the podcast today.
I'm running out of stuff.
Thank you guys for watching episode 5 of the Leaf Till Lights On podcast. We will see you again next week, most likely. 100%. Just kidding. 100%. Because we have reading week. But we'll see you guys again next week. Thank you to John and Joffrey for being on the podcast today. We changed the jerseys.
Lupo.
A Lupo jersey is OG. But
for real.
Yeah. I'll probably change them again for next week. We'll see how it goes. But thank you for watching episode 5. Leafs and Kings tomorrow night at 7:30. Let's hope the Leafs get another win. Let's make the season 3-1.
Totally down. Let's do it.
All right. See you guys.
Ciao.
That was a fucking W-ass podcast.